The song needs lyrics. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Thursday. It's June 30th, 2022. My name is Jeremy. This is my first cup. That's very, very hot. Good morning, John. Good morning, Mark. What's going on, people? If it wasn't 50 degrees, maybe we'd do the show outside. But it's 50 degrees. And the porch is all wet, so we're not going to do that. Good morning, Gad. Oh, you know what I did last night? Drum roll. I went to Taekwondo. Why is that a big deal? Because I haven't been to a formal Taekwondo class in over a year. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't trained. Doesn't mean I haven't been to classes. Doesn't mean I haven't been to seminars. Doesn't mean I haven't had individual private lessons. Doesn't mean I haven't learned things. It doesn't mean I haven't trained. But I finally was able to make it work. And I almost didn't make it work. Good morning also to Dennis and Jenny and all the rest of you, whether you are watching live, later, or listening. I got to hang out with now Grandmaster Rhoda, one of my favorite people on earth, and genuinely just one of the most patient instructor with children I've ever seen. I absolutely love him. And it was fun. I had fun. I almost didn't make it. So I told you car was going out for a rental. And a person showed up later than expected. And I probably had if you started classes on time, I would have had like 8 minutes. But his classes tend to run a little late. They always have. So I was perfectly on time. And I was stressing until I remembered that fact. I was like, oh yeah, he never starts on time. We'll be fine. Gad says, lyrics? Like Enterprise needed lyrics? Yes, it feels great. Good morning, Sigma. Dennis says, I sparred you doing our Superfit test so I can confirm you have been training. Well, thanks, brother. Yeah, I look, I think there's something to be said for doing something for so long and knowing what it takes to get back to a certain standard. And this is something that I think is such a powerful concept in any physical or even mental skill development. This occurs in weightlifting. It occurs in martial arts. Here's a good example. Let's say you learn a form. So you know the form inside and out. You know, well, neighbor's dog again. So yesterday we had a fox. Today we got a dog. Yesterday we had a dog. Nope, dog's going back the other way. The dogs are so funny. They're absolute riots. Oh, now we got both of them. They're running around. Milo and what's the other one? I don't remember the other one. They're funny. Doesn't bother me at all. Let's see you learn the form inside and out. And then you don't do it for a while. You go back and you got to relearn it. It doesn't take you anywhere near as long to relearn it as you learned it the first time. You can say the same thing about your sparring competency or any technique or getting strong in the gym. If you learn how to pick up 100 pounds and you stop picking up weight and you go back in, maybe you start back at 50 or 60 pounds, it's not going to take you nearly as long to get to 100 pounds as it did the first time. And that's well documented. There is scientific evidence for that. Why? Because your body wants to be efficient. So the application of skill, the understanding of skill, your body has memory for that. Even if you don't remember one of your forms, it'll come back. I've got Shotokan forms that I haven't done in 20 years. And you know what? They're in there. How do I know they're in there? Because I watch people doing them and my body twitches a little bit. It's like, oh, do that. Especially the Shotokan version of Basai. Good morning. Excuse me, Tommy and Brian. Oh, Tommy says his bear Cindy came by yesterday. Why Cindy? Why did you name your bear Cindy? So I'm going to let you know something. Most of you are in the Patreon in some way. We're going to be adding a new show. There are a few things that I know definitively at this point. We are going to add a new show. It is going to be Patreon exclusive. It is going to be collaborative. And the higher your Patreon tier, the more access, the more fun, the more input you will have. Those are the things I know for sure. I'm currently working with Craig on how we want to implement this because I want to work with him on it. And I will suggest that those of you who contributed to the Patreon, that you just pay attention over the next couple of weeks, because I will be posting some things in there, looking for your feedback. We'll probably have a meeting to talk about things, again, depending on tier. So let's just say, if you've been thinking about joining Patreon, now's the time. If you've been thinking about increasing your Patreon contribution, did you see the new designs that we put up? Some great stuff. Now is the time. There's never been a bad time, but this is a good time. Oh, okay. So Cindy is apparently Yogi the Bear's girlfriend. Got it. Gad says, once you start training martial arts, the martial arts vault is installed in your brain free of charge. Is that Friends? The vault? Put in or Seinfeld? Seinfeld. The vault was on Seinfeld. And Tommy agrees. Forms do come back, like when teaching new sashes belts and you pull one out of the closet. Hey, good morning, Andy. If all goes well, if the weather cooperates, Andy and I are going for a motorcycle ride this weekend. So what else happened yesterday? A corner of my property is now listed on Hip Camp. Anybody wants to bring their RV and park in my yard? Although, let's be honest, if anybody wanted to do that beforehand, I would have let you do it for free. But it's up on Hip Camp. And here's why. If I can get one or two people relatively consistently camping on my land, I can buy more land. There are some big pieces of property right nearby that I want, and I want them badly. Because either of them, one of them specifically, the one over there, oh, do I want this piece of land? I really want this piece of land. What is it? A couple $100,000 for 100 acres. It's a good deal. It's in a good spot, and it would make an absolutely wonderful martial arts retreat center. It is far enough out that we could do anything. Nobody's going to care. If anybody wants to partner with me on that, if anybody has some money burning a hole in their pocket, if you're looking at the next few years and saying, Jeremy, I'm fully expecting that the economy is going to go into recession and the market's going to tank, and I've been pulling some of my gains out from the last few years, and I'm not quite sure what to do with the money, and I love martial arts, and I think what whistlekick does is amazing. And you've always seemed to make things work, even when people say it's not going to work. And you just have this magic ability to really figure out how to make things work. So I would love to go in with you on building a martial arts retreat center. Let me know. Be awesome. Tommy's asking what Hip Camp is. Look it up. It's Airbnb for camping. That's the short version, but look it up. Yes, Tommy, you might consider doing that. as well. What else did I do yesterday? Hmm. Hmm. I don't remember. I got some stuff organized. I washed the wrong car for rental. I think that was it. What's going on today? I am sore. I'm having dinner with friends. I have a single meeting at noon. Plenty of work to do in between. One of the big things I'll be doing this morning is spending some time thinking about the Flex program and what we do with it. We've got updated videos. Where did I post this? Was it on Patreon? No. I updated the family page yesterday. The Flex program is probably the thing that we offer that the most people engage with that do not know whistlekick well. They show up to the website and they're like, there's a free training program. I'll grab this. I'll see what it's like. And most of them, I know most of them don't do it because just the statistics on people buying training programs and actually following through with them, it's pretty minuscule, and it's really sad because it works. I was working with someone at Taekwondo yesterday, somebody who I like. She's really nice, and her flexibility is not great. And I said, and this is someone who's aware of what we do at Whistlekick, and I was like, do you know about the Flex program? Have you checked that out? Because it's free. And she's like, I gotta get that. So I think today's going to be a lighter day. I've been a little bit better for myself at just saying, you know what, I don't have to do 14 hours of work every day. I'm tired. I'm tired from the bird who has not come back but continues to chirp, starting at about 4:30. I've been better about taking breaks and just resting and just saying, you know what, it's okay that today's a late day. It was yesterday. Yeah. Ooh. Yesterday, I timed my breakfast wrong, had to have a call with a client. So breakfast became lunch, and I sat on the porch, opened up the umbrella. The wind tried to blow it away, didn't. Sat under the umbrella, ate my breakfast. Well, what? Brunch? I don't know. Can you have brunch on a Wednesday? It was nice. You guys are quiet this morning. Man. All right. Frank gave us some quotes from someone that I really like. Today is Mike Tyson's birthday. Now, I think the thing that I like most about Mike Tyson is how successfully he has reinvented himself twice. Mike Tyson was a boxer. If you know anything about his history, came up, had a rough upbringing, found boxing, maybe saved his life. That would be something I would not be surprised if he said. At one point was one of the most famous people in the world, and sadly made something stupid like over $100 million and lost it because he was young and did not have good people in his corner. Haha, pun. Making sure that he was financially stable. Went bankrupt and kind of had to start over. And then we saw him in the movie The Hangover. And that changed everything. That was a moment he came back into popular culture, and he showed up in, what was it, Ip Man 3. I was like, all right, Mike Tyson's going to be in movies. And I think what was most important about him being in movies was people realized, you know what? I like Mike Tyson. Because I think if you're a certain age, you appreciated his fire. Wasn't always the nicest person. Took a chunk out of Evander Holyfield's ear. I don't respect that. but his passion is something that I can relate to. And now he's all over the place being thoughtful and demonstrating that he's learned from his time and his mistakes. And that's something I think we all can appreciate. And the older we get, the more we appreciate it. Then it says, last Wednesday night, Superfoot says, you don't need good flexibility to be a good kicker. Look at Campo. He then said he was kidding, but I said, you're not wrong, Master Wallace. Jenny says, sorry, quiet. Multitasking with a toddler. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just not used to you guys being this quiet in the morning. Oh, coffee. So we got some quotes from Mike Tyson, and I'm going to read them. Here we go. He was born in 1966, so that makes him, 56. At one point, I thought life was about acquiring things, but as I get older, life is totally about losing everything. Letting things fall away to focus in on what is most important. Those are my words. And this is probably his most famous quote, the one that people throw around all the time. It is used online in martial arts debates and everything else. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I like that quote for what it is. I also like it as a more figurative expression when I think about business or personal relationships or anything. Everyone's got a plan until something doesn't go quite right. And then what do? Do you have a plan B? Do you have enough experience to work through getting punched in the mouth? I'm just letting that one sit for a moment. I'm not ready to move on from that quote yet. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So then should we have plans? You know, what's that other quote? If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. In my 20s and even into my mid 30s, I was a huge planner. Huge planner. It was, in one sense, an effort to get as much done as possible. But as I got older, I realized it was also a defense mechanism. It was an attempt to control the world around me out of fear. I grew up not feeling like I had much control over things, and so I controlled everything I could. Didn't work very often. And it gave me a false sense of confidence on how much I could control. So when things didn't go right, which happened constantly, especially with other people, I struggled. But we had a plan. We made plans. You told me you were going to do this. We agreed this is how this would be done. And instead of rolling with it, which doesn't necessarily mean giving in, I struggled. I would often push back. And I know that I, in doing so, lost opportunities professionally, personally. So I try not to do that anymore. I try to find balance in the same way that I would in sparring, any kind of free form movement. I might have some things that I'm thinking about or working on, or some goals, some openings I'm watching for. But the vast majority of my time, I'm just rolling with whatever's presented. There are really no actions. It's all reaction. It's all reaction to what's in front of you, who's in front of you, what are they doing, what did you do, and how did they handle it? It's all response. And the more we recognize that, I think the easier life is, certainly the easier martial arts is. Dennis says he's always going to be a Mike Tyson fan. Ooh, I like this. Gad says he heard somewhere that strategies are better than plans. I like that. Strategy is simpler, easier to implement. It's a framework. A plan is if this, then that. That has a place. I believe it was a Fight Science YouTube video. Jenny says, I'm still a planner. I make lists for everything. I'm working on that. It's not bad. You just have to recognize, and I say this as someone who still does it. Some of you have seen my Google Calendar. I still find value in it. I don't let it rule my life. If I want to take a break, and I can, I take a break. I'm probably going to take most of tomorrow, if not all of tomorrow, off. I don't have any meetings. I got some things I want to get done. We'll see. I don't have to plan for that now. There's no need. Whether or not I do that tomorrow doesn't really change today. I suppose if I slack off today and I get nothing done, I'll feel guilty about it. Doesn't mean I won't do it. Dennis says, just for the record, I'm a fan of all of you as well. Thank you, Dennis. I won't speak for everyone, but you know I'm a fan of yours. Tommy responds to Dennis, if I'm completely honest, I have mixed feelings. The middleweights were really good at that time. Lennox Lewis. I wish he and Lennox Lewis would have met in the ring. Yeah, it was a interesting era for boxing. And now MMA has kind of taken that place. And I think we all know how I feel about the majority of professional publicized mixed martial arts. Jenny says, when it gets bad, for example, I stress over making lists and checking boxes when preparing for vacations. Takes the fun out of vacations. I've got a clipboard somewhere of what my outside stuff from last weekend. I'll make a list. But I think what changes for me is the attitude that goes into the list. I don't have to get everything done. How many of you have taught martial arts classes and you came up with this really like detailed plan? We're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And you looked at it and you're like, oh, this is really elegant. It's beautiful. Because, you know, when we work on this early on, it'll refer back. When we do this later on, it's great. And you get 20 minutes into class and you realize that the class composition or a deficiency in a particular skill or technique means that if you move forward with your plan, it's not going to go well. It's no longer elegant. If anything, you're putting a square peg in a round hole. And that's why when I teach, I don't have a schedule anymore. The first 2, maybe 3 seminars that I taught this year, I had a schedule because I had some concerns about taking something that I'd only ever taught as 60 minutes up to 2 hours. How was I going to make that 2 hours? And now we're at a point I can go 4. I could teach the slow seminar for 4 hours. I'd get tired. It's a lot of walking around, a lot of holding space, a lot of talking. But in terms of material that people would find substantive, yeah, that's not a problem. I love the crosstalk. Jenny says, has anyone ever successfully taught their lesson plan for classes? I haven't taught as many classes as most of you, but I thought that was like a fantasy. I suspect a lot of people out there have, but it's few and far between. It's rare. It's infrequent. There's sadly probably a much larger group that thinks they have. I'm a big fan of working backwards from the goal. What's the goal? What do I want people to come out of this class with? What's one thing? I want people's sidekicks to be better. I want people to get better at this form or their newest form. Or I want people to understand something. Last night, I don't know if he would have articulated it this way, but the instructor's theme for class was around um, moderate complexity, kicking, flexibility, and technique. It wasn't about speed. It wasn't about power. It wasn't about combinations. We used folding chairs and kicking paddles, and we stretched against the wall. And it was great. It showed me some things. Oh, you can't do these as well as you used to. Okay, great. Something to work on. And our last Mike Tyson quote: fear is the greatest obstacle to learning. But fear is your best friend. Fear is like fire. If you learn to control it, you'll let it work for you. If you don't learn to control it, it'll destroy you and everything around you. Like a snowball on a hill, you can pick it up. Hold on. Like a snowball on a hill, you can pick it up and throw it or do anything you want with it before it starts rolling down. But once it rolls down and gets so big, it'll crush you to death. So one must never allow fear to develop and build up without having control over it. Because if you don't, you won't be able to achieve your objective or save your life. It's a great visual. That snowball as fear. It builds. You have to address it. To step in, you have to pick it up. You have to break it up. You have to step out of the way. You have to find some method to handle it. We've talked on this show often. Everything we do comes from love or fear. There's something I'm working on right now that is entirely rooted in fear, and I'm struggling because I don't know how to move forward. So I'm seeking out people that I appreciate, that I respect, so I can bounce things off them, so we can have conversations. Because I don't like being afraid. And I will find answers. And then, much like shining the light in the closet or checking under the bed, you don't have to be afraid anymore. That's where, for me, a plan is helpful. Tommy suggests turning fear into curiosity. I like that. I like that. All right. We're going to end there. Thanks for coming by. I hope, as I suggested, that if you're not part of the Patreon, maybe you get in on the Patreon. I think you should. If not, there are other ways you can support us. You can check out the family page, whistlekick.com/family. Fresh and updated as of yesterday. And of course, we've got the code FIRSTCUP15 to save 15% on anything at whistlekick.com. You can save 15% on the Flex program. It's 15% off $0. Yes, it's completely free. If you have questions or comments, you can leave them on the Facebook page, facebook.com/firstcupwithjeremy. You can also email me if it's something private or you don't want to do Facebook, jeremy@whistlekick.com. We do this show weekdays, 6:30 Eastern Time, US, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Oh, and it's Thursday. We got an episode out. Hold on. Man, dropping the ball, Jeremy. This is the problem with the morning show. Any other show on earth, I'd be like, all right, you've got to be awake before you do this. This show, I'm like, what's happening? All right, 7:23. I don't know which one we did. These aren't numbered. Hold on. Let me check YouTube. I looked at the folder that Andrew and I did. We did 4 of them, and they're not numbered in the notes that I have. So Oh, yeah. Forms. Why are they different and the same? What does that mean? You'll have to watch on YouTube or listen in your podcast feed or go to whistlekickmartialartsradio.com to find out. And I hope you do, because I don't know, we do a good job. And if you don't, then I think you miss out. Alrighty. You all have a wonderful day, and I will see you back here tomorrow for Friday. Be well. Peace.